Hi, welcome to the Clicks and Giggles podcast. This is Jordan Rockwell Perry here, checking in. And I wanted to talk about a phrase that I heard someone say a while ago, and I love it. And it's something that may get you out of your comfort zone. And it is the phrase, it is a guess until you test. So I think I heard it from Myron Golden, and maybe then it was Kat and Macy from Guide Culture Sales Girls who talked about it. And then actually a client of mine, Emily, who works with them, mentioned it the other day when we were talking about something she was putting out into the world and how really it's a guess until you test it. And so I want to help you get comfortable with testing things and what that means and kind of like the different spectrum of testing. So if you're like, what are you talking about testing? So testing can be as simple as testing 2 different subject lines if your email provider lets you do that. And then testing can also be testing a couple different kinds of messaging, posting one kind of messaging and see what resonates, posting another hook and seeing what resonates. And then you can take it even further and test like 2 different landing pages. Hey, what is performing better? And kind of isolate variables there and change them. And then when it comes to like the paid ad side of things, when you're at the point running paid ads, we test all sorts of things. We test, does an image work better? Does a video work better? Okay, once we know which image works, what copy work? And I always say, like, you don't wake a sleeping baby. You don't mess with an ad that's working. You just kind of iterate around it until the ad breaks, as I like to call it. And you can also buy other ad campaigns, right? And so I'll give you an example right now for a client of mine. We know these reviews are doing well. So now we took the review that's doing well and put it with a bunch of different images. And we're like, let's see which image hits. And then once we know what's really resonating, we're like, all right, let's make that better. Let's do that same image with a couple different hooks at the beginning of the copy. So we know this image stops the scroll. What does the copy do? And so you can test with all sorts of things in marketing. Just do not change too many things at once. That is like such a big thing that people want to do is like, I'm going to test, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, you have to iterate and take time to see if that test worked. What did you learn from it? And also, please, please, please make what I like to call a change log, where if you do make changes on something, put a note of what day you did so you can know if it does better. So let me give you an example. I'm recording this. If this inspires you, I hope it does. And your sales page has not been converting like you want it to, and you make some changes. Say you make them August 1st. And so September 1st, you review the numbers and you look at August 1st to September 1st, and you compare to July 1st to end of July. And you're like, oh my gosh, like 100 people went to my site in July and 3 bought. Well, that's a 3% conversion rate. But then you look at it in August and you're like, oh my gosh, 100 people went to my site and 7 bought. Well, that's a 7% conversion rate and it went up 4%. And so you could see, is this working? So just start to track things, but make that change log so you know, like, oh, we made the change this day. That's like one of the biggest things I run into working with teams is they move fast. Love that for you. And if you have no recollection of when you made a change, it's like, oh, skirt, what are we going to do? So get a change log, just a little like Google Sheet, Google Doc, and be like, hey, here are the 3 things. We changed the buttons, we added a video, or we removed the video, all that good stuff. Because really, like, I love that for you if you haven't had to test and change in your business. Like, you're lucky, and your time will come that you have to. So just even now, if you're like, okay, I know my conversion rate of my sales page is X and I want to make it better, let's look at some things we could change. There's definitely within different email software ways you can test subject lines. I know that Kartra has some capability. ConvertKit, don't think Flowdesk is there yet. And then I don't know about Kajabi. I would have to look. But just think about ways you can. Quick little changes would be try testing a PS in your email again. If you haven't yet, try looking at that sales page. What can we do to make it better? Put ourselves in our customer client shoes and then make note of what you changed it. but really remembering that phrase I said at the beginning, like it's a guess until you test, and then spend time to review the data. So I think my biggest action piece of advice here is like, let's look at what you have going. Let's figure out something new you can test and then go from there. So that's more on the marketing side of things. Then, especially if you're running ads, go find what's been a winner. And even if nothing is converted yet, and you're running ads yourself, what's getting the most link clicks? Let's start there. And then find what's resonating and just make it 10% better. I want to say make it 100% better, but just start making it a little bit better. So that's on the marketing side. Now let's talk about the offers and testing. Because I find people get really scared to make a different move from what they're doing. But I'll tell you this. I was on a sales call yesterday and she was asking me about Google ads. She was asking me about all these other things. And I was like, oh, we do Google ads. And then we were talking about design and branding. And I was like, we do branding too. As long as you're a client of ours, whether you are in Clicks that Count or have done a one-off strategy call with me or on a retainer, you get our exclusive agency rate rather than like the general public rate. She's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm like, no, I know. It's like a best kept secret right now as we're unveiling it to the world. And here's why. You can test offers and no one has to know publicly. You can sell on a sales call or in the DMs or try something new. So if there's been something you've been wanting to try, it doesn't have to be this like wild launch that's like 3 months of planning and execution and websites and funnels and all this stuff. It's like, no, pause. I want you to figure out if this works, if people need this. It's like when people make a course without people actually wanting it. For example, made this program called the Launchpad a couple years ago, and one person bought it. No one wanted it, but I thought they needed it. And now Clicks That Count is a program that is going to walk you through marketing, setting up your funnels, setting up different ads, just troubleshooting anything where you're stuck. And I know people that because they're asking for it. And now that's why it makes sense. So same for you, back to testing another offer. Please, for like the love, do not go make this huge big thing if you don't know if someone needs it. I have been on the side of really great wild launches, like launches of a few $1,000s to $200,000, $500,000. Clients of mine had $1 million day a couple weeks ago. And I've been on the side of launches where people are like, this product slaps, it's so good, 10 out of 10. And people didn't want it. People were confused. People were like, oh, does it have this? And it's like, oh, had this been beta tested under the table, this could be refined really well and then launched super publicly. So I want to encourage you in that. If there's something you're like, I really want to do this, like go freaking play and do it. I was talking to my husband about it at dinner last night, just with some offers and things he's working on. I'm like, this does not have to be perfect. Like, what do you enjoy doing? Talk to 3 people you know could benefit from it and see what they think. And that's kind of how different offers have worked out for me, especially even my CMO offer, a fractional CMO for a couple people. So fun helping them in their marketing. And it came up from a need. It's something I was like, ooh, this would be so fun. And I know I can serve people in that way. So don't be afraid to test and kind of test the waters. And especially if you have an offer or service product that's doing really well, like keep growing that side of the business and add something new in if you want to. But I think that's another way you could test. It doesn't have to be this wild, huge launch. It can just be like slap a Calendly link up there where they could pay you a little money for a call and get to it, or put together a little package they could buy, send them a proposal and Honeybook, and let's freaking go. So that is kind of the thoughts on it is a guess until you test. You can guess and hope and think something's going to go to the freaking moon and it may not. And I think the sidebar on this too is like, do not underestimate the power of talking to your ideal client, your current clients, and past clients. Go to a past client and be like, hey, how can I serve you? Also, your current clients, what other problems do they need you to solve? Alex Ramosi talks about solving rich people's problems, which I love. And I just have been pondering. And I told my husband, Brad, the other day, I was like, I don't know if I'm really solving rich people's problems yet. I'm definitely solving a big need in the marketing, paid ads, that consulting business space. But that is just something to think about too, is like, how can I solve rich people's problems? Because that's a whole podcast on itself, right? Here in the car with me as we're talking about this. So I'm just excited for you. Go test some things. Let me know what you test. I mean, the world is your oyster. It's not life or death. This is not like brain surgery here. I do giggle when that Olivia Millard also says there are no marketing emergencies. I agree 100% with her. When I worked with Chick-fil-A in marketing, like it would get stressful at times, and it's QSR, quick service restaurant. And it would be, we'd be reminded like, hey, this is not like brain surgery. And then I went to work for a children's hospital of Johns Hopkins Medicine, all children's in St. Pete. And they literally were doing brain surgery, which was ironic. But now we're not doing brain surgery. It's going to be okay. If something gets spoofy and messed up, that's fine. But give yourself permission to test something new, try something out. And like, that is the beauty of being a business owner, is you get to choose. Like, you are not tied to this. And then if you're listening to this and you are an entrepreneur working with someone else, the beauty of what you get to do is you get to suggest new tests and say, hey, here's what I think we should do. But you do not have to be married to something just because you've always done it. It's time to iterate, grow, and let's freaking test. So let me know what you test. I cannot wait to hear. And I'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks for listening.